The Washington Free Beacon, which is a legitimate newspaper, yes.
Look, there's different ways to look at the data, but the big picture here is women do earn less in America because they choose to. Most women are happier at home. They are pretending that they like working, and they're not making money.
As if.
Feminism. Feminism. The advocacy of women's rights on the ground of the equality of the sexes. A very hot topic these days that's been causing a variety of opinions. Many love it and many hate it.
Go the extra mile. They don't work all weekend. You're making a mistake. You would be much happier at home with a husband and children.
Oh, boy. Oh.
Especially on the internet. Now, internet is a huge part of our lives. We share almost everything we do. It has become a very important tool for us to connect and invite everyone to share their stories and opinions.
I am reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality. And to do this, we need everyone involved.
About 18 months ago, I had a really bad week.
Laura Bates is a female journalist and founder of a blog, Everyday Sexism. It was created as a platform allowing people, especially women, to share their stories on sexual harassment they have experienced, and that way spreading awareness to the people of the internet that sexism still exists.
And I started talking to other women and asking them, women I knew, older women, younger women, women I met, saying, have you ever experienced anything like this? And I honestly thought that one or two women would have a story, that one or two people would say, yeah, a few years ago this thing happened, or I once had a job where this happened. But it wasn't like that. It was every woman I spoke to. And it wasn't a few years ago, this one incident. It was hundreds of things. It was on my way to meet you today, this happened. Yesterday, this happened. Most days, this happens. But just like me, until I asked them, they'd never told those stories to anyone because they were used to it, because it was normal. So I started trying to speak up about this because I was kind of realizing there was this huge problem, and I started trying to talk about it. And again I got the same response. People said, stop making a fuss.
We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much.
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, that speech, "We should all be feminists," had a huge impact on the way internet deals with feminism. People shared the video, which got people talking, and some of them even joined the movement. Her speech about gender roles that not only women but also men in Nigeria have to deal with inspired many. Even one of the most famous performers, Beyoncé, who decided to join the movement after watching the video and later using Chimamanda's speech in her song Flawless to bring awareness to the issue.
And when I looked up the word in the dictionary that day, this is what it said. Feminist, a person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
But no word is so dirty as feminism. Say anything about it and suddenly I'm a feminazi and being compared to Hitler. Basic Green teaches sex ed, wants equality. Hitler, dictator, killed 6 million some people. Oh, okay, makes sense. No, it doesn't. Being a feminist is very simple. It just means I believe in gender equality.
Lacey Green is a feminist that does informative and positive YouTube videos on inequality and sex ed. She tours across the country giving sex ed lessons to students, teaching them body positivity, sexuality, and self-confidence. She is also known to be one of the feminist icons to the younger generation and self-identifying feminists. Unfortunately, teenagers that talk about social inequality online have quite a bad reputation because they tend to deal with these issues in quite a radical and ignorant way. And apparently, Lacey Green identifies as one too. Social Justice Warriors is an online community that identifies as equal rights supporters. Most of them are from younger generation who use technology and internet most of their time. It is still unclear what social justice warriors really are, as internet is just a big pot of different opinions. But at the moment, they are generally seen as teenagers that are poorly educated on the subject of equal rights and that all they do is shame straight white cisgender males. Social justice warriors is often what keeps people away from joining movements like feminism. Especially this guy.
Sorry, I'm white! Sorry, I'm male! The Amazing Atheist.
YouTuber The Amazing Atheist is just one of the examples of anti-feminists who have very strong opinions and are not afraid to use the ability of sharing them freely online. And it's quite obvious that The Amazing Atheist is not someone whose ideology you should follow without a doubt, but his hatred for feminism might mean something. Maybe feminists are doing something wrong in the way they use their free speech online that fails to persuade people to join the movement.
It's full of these whiny, self-obsessed, pseudo-feminists ranging from the ages of like 15 to 25. And I call them pseudo-feminists because it's not like they've actually read up on feminist theory or they're familiar with feminist history or, feminist literature or anything like that.
So I decided to interview some people who spend a lot of time online specifically, and ask them if they think online free speech affect feminism positively or negatively. The first interviewee is a student in Sheffield University, studies Japanese language and gender, who also is an active internet user and is not afraid to share her opinions on social justice. Do you think the internet is the main reason why feminism has become so popular lately?
No, not at all. The internet can be a place for misinformation on feminism too. If you think of Western feminism, it takes us back several decades ago, when people did not have the internet, but they had feminist journals, books and other publications, several famous associations. The internet nowadays is a good communication tool, and I'm certain that many people find feminism there, but it is not the reason why it is so popular. Feminist academic literature or feminist art might be one of the most influential, in my opinion.
As you mentioned, the internet can be a place for misinformation about feminism. Do you think that is caused by the anonymity and freedom of self-expression internet allows us to have?
I think it's important to make a distinction between freedom of expression and hate speech. In most cases, we are not monitored on what we say and how we act on the internet, but it's important to act when the hate speech takes place, because it is already a violence against oppressed communities. Also, it can act as a trigger for more brutal actions. That is why the definition of feminism should be protected from hate speech to keep the way for feminists who are trying to achieve gender equality.
Do you think that Social Justice Warriors is a reliable source for people to learn more about social equality, or should they be avoided?
I think everything is fine with social justice warriors, but I have heard of people called anti-social justice warriors who pretend to be radical on purpose to bring down the reputation and effort of SJWs who work for social equality. Reliability of social justice warriors depends on how much they have done the research on things they're trying to bring to light. Also, neglecting social justice movement could be really toxic, especially to those who experience or have experienced oppression. That is why general public have not to be so quick on making a judgment on social justice warriors movement based on few loud anti-social justice warriors.
So would you consider a very popular phrase, "kill all men," on sites like Tumblr and Twitter to come from social justice warriors or anti-social justice warriors?
I'm pretty sure feminists or social justice warriors do not wish death of all men, because that would be ridiculous. So it sounds like anti-social justice warriors to me. However, I do not think that this phrase endangers men in any way, because gender hatred is not going against them, or no, it ever did, because of the patriarchy itself. But also, it should be not dismissed that many women have had violent or traumatizing experience with men, which has brought fear to their lives, so they might say something radical as this, but they are not the ones to blame for that. Thus, I would not pay that much attention to slogans like that.
Can men be feminists, or is it just a movement for women?
Feminism deals with men issues too, which is primarily caused by hegemonic masculinity, which is dominant ideology, the source of gender oppression. Because feminists confront the gender stereotypes, they tackle masculinity question as well. Hegemonic masculinity has a set of rules that men should follow in order to be accepted in society. One of them is to be strong, to be the leader. That is why people can overlook the rape within men, saying that they should not complain or even worse, they should have enjoyed that. Feminists, however, know the problem of rape or domestic violence, and they have never said that men are not affected by it. However, the main reason why people feel that feminism does not tackle these problems is because men are way less affected by it than women. And maybe those cases then get less coverage on media because of the societal expectations for men. As for if men can be feminists, it is the absolute thing. They have to be. It is not only vital for self-defining women, but for them as well because of the masculinity restraints. It is a movement for all until the gender equality is reached, including movements that are intersectioned within.
But how about regular people who are interested in a movement but did not read every feminist piece of literature there is? How online feminism affects them?
At the moment, I'm still getting into feminism. I'm still at the level when I can't really identify myself as the one. Many of us still don't know the true meaning behind this word, to be honest. I have seen those feminists is not against main kind of posts, and I think it's more likely for you to see them than the actually hating men posts. And yes, I do think it's possible for men to be feminists. I think no matter what they do, some people will still judge them and will still call them as men haters. Some men seem to be scared of an idea of the world where everyone is equal. I think people should start to talk about this subject more, trying to stop seeing it as something provocative and controversial. It shouldn't be a hot topic and a trend. It should be a part of our life.
In the end, internet stays what it was, a platform allowing all kinds of people share their logical or completely radical opinions. Maybe we will never know what social justice warriors really are, but hopefully all of us will acknowledge that the world is still dealing with inequality, that people making speeches about gender wage gaps, racism and sexual abuse are not making things up. And the best way to show the rest of the world our stories is internet.
Ladies, tell them, say